Hey everybody, it's me, Mark, and welcome to this week's video. It is about a guy who ended up becoming a stalker to me and my friend, and he had terrified us for a long time after this incident. Now, before I get too much into it, I want to ask you to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Hit that little bell icon down below to be notified when I post new videos, which I plan on doing every Tuesday. And yeah, so without further ado, let's get into the video. To begin with, I thought I might explain a bit about how I met the guy who would end up being a nightmare. So I met, let's call him Nick, my freshman year of high school. We were in several classes together, had a bunch of things in common, and became fairly good friends. Me and another group of people. We're a tight-knit group my freshman year. During freshman year, I found Nick very attractive, both in a physical appearance kind of way and a personality sort of manner. Nick had an ability to kind of draw people into him, kind of like a moth to a flame. He was able to say things in a way that got you to think what he wanted you to think of. He would tell me all the time about how he was not wearing a shirt under his hoodies at school, and being a teenager that I was, hormone driven and everything, that would lead my mind straight to the gutter. He was very charismatic, and I think that was part of the issue he had. It's because he was very charismatic, he made you trust him and believe him, which is the downfall with a lot of these sort of situations. So I had a friend who I ended up hooking him up with, and we'll call her Sarah. And the biggest reason I got Nick and Sarah together was because I was, at the time, dating someone else. And I'll go into that relationship in another video. So Nick and Sarah started dating. And it was okay, pretty good at the start. It seemed great. Perfect relationship. They would go out, they'd have fun, they'd go on dates. It was wonderful. And then the guy who I had been dating and I broke up. And that's kind of when I think some of the possessiveness and controlling started. Because I don't remember him being this controlling before. But I mean, it started out with smaller things. We'd go to the store, and if he was buying food, he was very specific about what he would get us, down to like the flavor of Jones soda we could have. I think it was the blue one, which is why I don't drink that one anymore, like at all. I don't drink the green one either, but I just don't like green Jones soda. So, but it was, very specific about, like, you can have this sandwich and this bag of chips and this soda. It was that specific. And I mean, I understand somewhat that kind of thing. It was his money, he wanted to kind of keep it and save it and everything. But I mean, most people would go, I don't want to spend too much, so you can have, like, these are the cheaper sodas, you can have these sodas. It's very specific brand and flavor of what we could eat. And if we were paying for it, he would say things like, should we want to put that in your body? Or she should be eating that? Things like that, which would kind of steer us away from things he didn't want us eating. at the beginning of Sarah and Nick's relationship, Nick was living with one of my friends who we'll call Darren, and during the time Darren and Nick were living together, Nick, Sarah and I were hanging out, and Sarah had to go home, so Nick and I put her on a bus to her place, which was the opposite direction from where we both lived. And so we were going to hang out a little bit more. Nick and I were going to hang out a little bit more before our bus came, and we made sure Sarah knew what was going on, because I wasn't going to do anything behind her back. During that time, between Sarah getting on the bus, her bus taking off, and us waiting for our bus, Nick had pinned me to a wall. And he, for lack of a better word, attacked my neck. In a non-violent manner, more of a sexual manner. He was biting and nibbling on my neck, and I was in this kind of shock, panic, and I wasn't sure what to do. And I mean, it happened fairly quickly, and then he tried to kiss me, and I pushed him away, and I told him, no, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to allow this to go on. If you want something with me, I will be more than willing. If you and Sarah both want me to be part of your relationship, I'd be willing. But I'm not going to do anything behind Sarah's back. And that was the end of it. There wasn't any discussion after that. Both got on our buses, went home. I didn't tell Sarah at the time because I didn't want to break her heart. I was protecting her. I did end up telling her later, but I didn't tell her at the time. So neither one of them approached me about joining in their relationship, but after this, Nick became even more controlling, and not just of what we ate, but of who we could talk to, who we were hanging out with. If I spoke to a guy, Nick would get angry, and then suddenly the guy would stop talking to me. He would avoid me, in fact. So I figured, I figured that's kind of, he was running him off. But at the time, I didn't really notice it. It was, okay, whatever. Now, some point during this, Nick and Darren had a falling out. And Nick and Darren had a falling out. And Nick moved out of Darren's. So, Nick had told us one version of what had happened, and I'm not really going to get into it, don't really remember all of what happened, but they had a falling out. So, Sarah and I stopped hanging out with Darren for a long time, and that was when Sarah and I started becoming more isolated. We would only hang out with people who Nick approved of, and most of the time, usually it was when Nick was there. There was one person who we could hang out with outside of Nick's apartment while Nick wasn't there, and that was a friend who was living with Sarah at the time. We'll call her Kate, and Kate didn't have all these rules. She didn't have to hang out with only certain people. She could hang out with whoever she wanted. So yet again, I didn't really notice it because I'm kind of antisocial, so wasn't really aware that all this stuff was happening. Was really just happening. It just kind of happened, and it was over a long period of time. But two of the people who were from me and Nick's original friends, we'll call Kyle and Matt, were also hanging out with us at the time. And they're kind of important to the story, so we'll get into that later. So Kyle and I grew up together. We knew each other from pretty much childhood. Our moms knew each other, went to elementary school together. We've known each other for a long time. So it's a little bit more on those two. Now, by the time Valentine's Day came, things had really started to go downhill. And the day of Valentine's, my blinders were off. Like they had fallen away or something, but I started realizing what was going on. It was kind of like waking up from a haze. So at that point, Nick would start calling and texting us, and he was very upset if we didn't answer the phone right away or respond to his text right away. He would tell us we were cheating on him. I didn't understand how I could possibly be cheating on him. I was in a relationship with him, but fine, whatever. And shortly after this, this whole, I'm cheating on him because I'm not answering my phone right away thing happened. My phone broke, and so I kind of got out of that situation. It wasn't bad for me. But I'd hang out with Sarah all the time, and there was one day where we were at the store trying on clothes and stuff, and he kept calling. And she was on a minute plan. She had like only a certain amount of minutes per month, and his constant calling was constantly pulling those out of the water. So she couldn't talk to him as much as he wanted to. She could text all she wanted to. That was fine. It was just she had only so many minutes to speak on the phone. So, I mean, there was one day when he called, he kept calling, and we answered the phone, and he was like, "Oh, you're cheating on me," and blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, yeah, she's cheating on you with me. Really? Come on. We're in a clothing store trying on clothes. She can't talk right now. Her mom is being very, uppity about how many minutes she's spending a month. And it was very early on in the month, so she was already past her minutes. So, come on. It took a lot of convincing, but at some point, Sarah finally broke up with Nick. And that's when things started going really bad. Nick started to text us and call us, mostly her, and it started with bribes. Him trying to get us to come back, him bribing us, "Oh, I'll do better, just come back, I miss you, I'm sorry," all of those things. And then when that didn't work, the threats started coming. It was, if we didn't come back to him, we would regret it, he's gonna do this if we don't do what he wants. It was terrifying, and we ignored him. We ignored all the phone calls, all the texts. In fact, Sarah changed her number, and then he got her new number and started texting her and calling her still, and she never answered the phone. It went to voicemail every time, but it was terrifying. And then Matt and Kyle, they took Nick's side, and they started harassing us when we were in public. We passed them when they were saying, the bus stop. We were on the bus, and they were on the bus, and they harass us and say sometimes inappropriate things, and it was not fun. We stopped taking the bus by ourselves. We would always be with someone else. In fact, for a while, I had my brother's, at the time, girlfriend drive me places to go hang out with, drive me over to, or my dad, drive me over to Sarah's, so we could go together places. We weren't ever alone. And around this point in time, the first video was posted to YouTube. And in that one, he gave Sarah my full name and where the city and state in which we lived in. And he said, and I quote, "They will burn." Not "they will burn in hell," just "they will burn." And it was terrifying. I was so terrified, and part of the reason I was as terrified as I was because the day before Valentine's Day, that night, I had a nightmare in which Nick had come to my house and he had attacked me with a knife. And I remember at the time, in the nightmare, knowing, one, he shouldn't know where I live. Two, him and Sarah were broken up in the nightmare. They weren't in real life, but they were in the nightmare. And three, I'm not sure if I mentally heard him say, or if he actually said in the nightmare that it was my fault that they broke up. But he had physically attacked me, and it was a terrifying nightmare. It was so real, I could feel the knife on my face, and I had ended up getting scars. I survived the attack because I ended up screaming until I saw, police lights. But I survived the attack, and because I survived it, I remember at some point going into my bathroom after coming back from the hospital and seeing these scars. And so when I woke up, I had to go into the bathroom to make sure I wasn't covered in scars because it felt so real. So I was terrified. I was absolutely terrified, and I knew from years of watching, crime shows like Forensic Files and things like that, and knowing what I do about the psychology of people, that this could very well turn violent, and I didn't want that. We ended up calling the police for that video that same night that the video was posted. We called the police and reported the video. And then, I remember talking to Darren about my fear, and Darren had informed me that Nick knew where I lived my freshman year of high school. And Nick, even to this point of, the harassment and everything, he'd never been to my house. I hadn't invited anyone over, other than Sarah. And Kate, they were the only two people who had been to my house. But somehow Nick knew where I lived, which absolutely terrified me. So, 2 more videos were posted before I finally decided enough was enough and decided I was going to get a restraining order. Sarah didn't want me to. She was trying to bury her head in the sand and believe that it was just going to go away. But by this point, I knew that it wasn't just going to go away by itself. So, I had decided I wasn't going to give Nick the opportunity to hurt Sarah or myself. I wasn't going to, I wasn't going to threaten him or hurt him. I was going to do this legal way, the way I had to. So I decided I was going to go to court and get a restraining order. And it was one of the hardest things for me to do. Make this decision and go against one of my best friends to do this because she didn't want me to. But I did. And the same day I filed the paperwork to get the restraining order, the same day I got the temporary restraining order, Sarah and I had told another friend, isn't too important to the story, so we had told another friend what was going on, and he decided to go threaten Nick, and Nick ended up taking our videos. So I wasn't able to get the full restraining order. But Nick left Sarah and I alone after that. Didn't bother us, left us alone. And I think mostly because when we went in to get the full restraining order in court, I was shaking. It was across the courtroom for me, but I was so terrified that I was physically shaking to be in the same room as him. And the judge saw that. He saw how terrified I was. He saw that this guy, Nick, he was smug when the judge said he wasn't going to grant the restraining order. He was smug, but the judge turned to him and told him, if I come back, I'm going to get the full restraining order. And that was that. It wiped the smug look off of Nick's face entirely. So, even though I wasn't able to get my full restraining order, I'm very happy that I went and tried, because the next girl was able to get hers. So, it's kind of a happy, sad feeling, because, I wasn't able to get mine, but thankfully I tried. So, the next girl didn't have to go through all of that and then be terrified that he'd still be following her. She was granted the full restraining order, like, pretty much right away. She got the temporary one, which everyone does, until the court date, and the court date happened, and she was granted full because he already had one attempted restraining order in his record, because he was an adult at this time. In fact, we were all adults at this time. So, it was like, yeah, okay, you're an adult. You have one temporary restraining order in your system, No. So, that's how that happened. Yeah, and I'm actually very happy with how everything turned out. I'm very happy that I got my friends back from it, and me and Sarah didn't end up dead. Looking back at it, I probably would have tried sooner to get this restraining order, and I wouldn't have told the friend that I ended up telling about it. I wouldn't have even involved anyone else. But I didn't, and okay, it was a mistake, I know, but I can't change anything now, and I choose to not live my days in fear anymore. It took me a couple years even after this to not be terrified of him, to be able to go out by myself while he was in town and not be afraid that he was going to come attack me, because this was a very terrifying experience. And I do suggest to anyone who's in a similar experience to try to get a restraining order, to do what they need to do, because it's not just going to go away. Most of these guys are smart enough to know that if you know who they are and you can get even a temporary restraining order, they need to stop, because they continue and you will get that full restraining order like that. It is that simple. But he left me alone, and he left Sarah alone during the temporary restraining order, which is part of the reason why we didn't get the full one. And he ended up going to court with us. So, hey, if he hadn't, I would have gotten the full restraining order. Because, yeah, that's how that works, apparently. So, yeah, that's that. You like this video, like the video. Please share it to anyone who's dealing with a similar situation if you know anyone, and comment down below something that makes you happy, because we have enough negativity in this world. I just want something that makes me smile. Bye!